All right, fellow political refugees, castaways, and those who are just drifting into the abyss, at least on the political scene. My name is Dave, and I am the political refugee. Thanks for watching, subscribing. Don't forget to hit the bell for notifications if you want to see these videos immediately. And I need some I need some subscribers, so if you can help me out, that would be much appreciated. Recent comments by presidential candidate Joe Jorgensen about Tulsi Gabbard are rather disturbing. Just gonna be honest. People want me to vote gold. Hey man, vote gold. Joe Jorgensen, she's awesome. I'm with her. Yeah, I might not be with her if she can't understand why marginalized people need more than just a pat on the back and like, hey, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. The church will help you with your problems. Really? The church has pretty much abdicated its responsibilities when it comes to the poor. There are some churches that do good work, but the majority of churches are into building bigger barns, bigger structures. That's right out of the Bible. Hey, your life is required of you. No, I can't. I've got to build a bigger barn. You better stop building your barn because you're no longer going to be here. Those are Jesus's words in a parable, and I think it's applicable to the views that the Libertarian Party takes when it comes to those folks who they've run out of hope. They don't have any more hope. Their hope meter is at zero. And a candidate like Jorgensen, who I understand what the Libertarian platform is. The Libertarian platform takes from both the left and the right on the political spectrum. Tulsi Gabbard, what made Tulsi Gabbard different was that she took mostly from the left, but she also took a little bit from the right. Enough from the right where she sounded reasonable to people on the right, which I think, quite honestly, is needed right now. Conflict is not a thing that's going to help us at this stage. We are, again, with this pandemic, regardless of what you think about it right now, my views have changed in the last few weeks when it comes to the pandemic. I think forcing people to quit their jobs in the midst of this and shutting down the United States economy and creating unprecedented unemployment and depression may have been worse than the pandemic itself. Now, again, there are a lot of people who are still getting the disease and also succumbing to it. But those stats are, I think, comparable to many other outbreaks that we've had. And yes, there isn't a vaccine. We will make a vaccine. And things eventually will get better. Hopefully it won't be a Bill Gates sponsored vaccine. But let's get back to Tulsi Gabbard and Joe Jorgensen. Now, Joe Jorgensen essentially, again, called Tulsi a socialist. And the power of the S word. I've been saying this since I started doing this channel. I say it when I do my little, conference calls with other independent media, and we sit down and we talk it out. Bruno and Charles, who, again, I've had Charles on my show. Charles is the Vigilant Independent, but he's changing his platform as well. I decided to go and be a political refugee because that's what I really am. I don't have a home. And comments like this from Jorgensen exacerbate the problem. I'm trying to say, you know what, maybe this person might be good for Tulsi Gabbard supporters. But Tulsi supporters liked nuance. They liked the idea that she was progressive on things like Medicare for all, even though she had her own version of that. They liked the fact that she believed in a living wage. Okay? There are other areas on the environment. The libertarians are basically like, hey, Jesse Ventura likes to say that libertarians don't believe in climate change. I'm not sure if that's true. Might be true. It might be because they don't have really any solutions other than, hey, the private sector will invent rocket fuel, and the rocket fuel, you put a little drop in your car and it will take you 600 miles or something. Okay, that hasn't happened yet, you know, and I'm just throwing things out there. In other words, libertarians believe that the free market will fix these problems. I don't know if they're going to fix climate change. You got to watch Michael Moore's new movie, and you'll find out that the solar thing is just, again, it's more hype than function. And right now, we don't really have a solution other than, you know, drawing back our usage. Which, by the way, we did this recently, and pollution cleared up. And it's one, I guess, silver lining to this COVID-19 scare. And I can go into my views on COVID and how those views have changed in recent weeks, because I think the lockdown was too much. It's too much. You hurt so many people. A lot of those people are willing to take the risk and go out there. The risk is more with elderly or people with pre-existing conditions. That's the majority of your cases. And you should isolate the things that you need to isolate and allow people to freely move. And the mask wearing, especially outdoors, is some of the dumbest things. I mean, people going for a walk in my neighborhood and they've got a mask on. I'm like, I don't know. I want to go out and get some fresh air. And to get the air, I'd like to have, you know, no mask on. So, okay, that's a tangent I need to do, but I wanted to let people know my views on it. My views on the word socialism, though, and the way Joe Jorgensen, this is, libertarians are right-wingers to some degree. It's no question. I mean, the Koch brothers are well-known libertarians. When you say libertarian, there's some good stuff in there, like civil liberties and the Bill of Rights. Those are good things. Those are all good things. There's nothing about that part of their platform that I disagree with. They post things like, you know, Joe Jorgensen on her Twitter feed. Here's, thanks, Donald Trump, and she's got a picture of the debt clock. Now, Trump did not really run on reducing the national debt. The Tea Party kind of folded up shop, and I made jokes about it. I'm like, where did the Tea Party go? Because they realized that there are bigger problems than our national debt. If anything, we need to forgive people their debts, like student loan debt, for instance, or at least allow them to access the bankruptcy law, like Tulsi Gabbard advocated for. But I believe Tulsi actually said, forgive student loan debt. Just forgive it. It'll help the economy. People will be able to purchase houses, and they'll have some disposable income instead of having this payment that gets larger as the interest builds up. How do I know this? Because my wife has student loan debt, and she's on some loan forgiveness program, but it doesn't really forgive the loan. I think after 30 years or something, it forgives the loan. I don't know. It's a gimmick. It's a gimmick to make creditors think you're not in as rough shape as you actually are, but it doesn't ever go away. I mean, this law needs to be repealed. I mean, people need to be able to declare bankruptcy. And I would do harsh warnings to anyone who's going to some Ivy League style college, because at the end of it, they might not have a job and they will have insurmountable debt. So that's something that Tulsi Gabbard cares about. Does Joe Jorgensen care about it? I don't know. Joe Jorgensen and most libertarians, they care about, you know, the free market's going to do this and it's going to work. And again, apologies to my friend Reed. I had him on here. He did a fine job explaining libertarianism. But he did say at one point that some libertarians are more rigid than others. Well, Jorgensen calling Tulsi a socialist, she's saying, well, other than her foreign policy, she actually called Tulsi Gabbard the most dangerous Democratic candidate for president. Not Joe Biden, Tulsi Gabbard. Wow. There's a certain tone deafness there. You know what it is? It's like a tunnel vision. The libertarians and the Greens, both of them, they kind of live in their own world. All right? They don't venture out to see what other sides are thinking. Like, the Green Party could care less about what Tucker Carlson is saying, which is stupid. It's stupid. And the people on the right or the libertarians, they could care less about what Kyle Kalinske is saying. They don't care. And I think there are huge problems by being so isolated and not trying to understand your fellow citizens. I think it's dangerous to think like that in a monolithic way. That's why Tulsi Gabbard's candidacy appealed so much to people. Yes, I had a real hard time, and I've repented and apologized. I had a real hard time with the way Tulsi got out of this. But in hindsight, her strategy ends up being, well, maybe I can hitch a ride, because they were squashing me. So if I play their game a little bit, I don't compromise my values. I don't say all of a sudden, hey, I'm for endless wars, because that's not what she's done. She basically said, I have a lot of disagreements, but I'm just going to endorse because I'm supposed to, because I signed a piece of paper. I wish she hadn't done it that enthusiastically, but Tulsi Gabbard is an amiable, sort of affable, decent person, and I think she gives people the benefit of the doubt. I think that's the way she was taught. That's what her faith teaches, to look at the good in people, and I think that's important. I think it's really important to who she is. So as time has gone on, her perspective, just getting out of it in the midst of the pandemic thing, and now you've got racial tension. What else was she going to do? The DNC wasn't going to let her go anywhere. I mean, we pushed as hard as we could, people who loved her. And I've been goofing around with this idea that maybe you can write her in. Those 10 states, write her in if you want to write her in. The reason I've changed is because this is why I'm a political refugee. Nobody's giving me a choice anymore. You keep blocking me. I say Green Party, you say, no, Russiagator. Okay, solution? What am I supposed to do? Go back to Biden now? Go back to Trump? Where do you want me to go? And some people say, well, I'd rather have Trump than Biden because at least Trump's a bomb thrower and he's going to, Trump does get stuff done when he wants to get it done. And the Democrats, when they work with him, they get criminal justice reform. I saw a bunch of guys on TV talking about that. African Americans, probably conservative African Americans, who are saying, hey, Trump got criminal justice reform done. Democrats didn't get it done. I wish there was a progressive wing of the Republican Party. I really do. I'm starting to think that more and more. If there was a progressive wing of the Republican Party, you could kind of be conservative on some of those social issues, but yet progressive on trying to solve problems and look at issues. Progressive, not regressive. The word progressive now means, dyed-in-the-wool left wing. And that doesn't solve problems because people are afraid of dyed-in-the-wool left wing. They want, doesn't matter which wing on the bird you get, left or right. What they want is a solution, and they don't want you to sound like a lunatic. And that's, again, why Tulsi Gabbard was so appealing. People on the right liked Tulsi Gabbard because she wasn't a lunatic. And all the other people, you listen to Elizabeth Warren talk, and you're like, oh, man. It's just, Tulsi Gabbard came across as somebody who could work with a left-winger or a right-winger who really truly wanted to understand both perspectives. So when you come at Tulsi Gabbard with a mindset like Jorgensen and say, oh, she's just a socialist, she's all right on foreign policy, but she's a socialist. And a lot of Tulsi Gabbard supporters looking back at Joe Jorgensen are like, bye-bye, Joe. You're just another libertarian hack, meaning that the Libertarian Party has a rigid ideology. Oh, gee, Dave, well, that's why they're libertarians and they're not. Okay, but you can be a libertarian and be objective. You can look at issues one by one and come up with solutions rather than just throwing is it litmus test? Is it libertarian? It's not. I mean, the Green Party, for how progressive it is, there are a lot of different flavors of green. Right now with Howie, you got the socialist green is what you got. Plus you got somebody who apparently is a Russiagator, according to everybody except for me. I interviewed him. It's a long story. If you didn't watch the video, and nobody cares to watch it. People have already made up their mind, or he's rigging the primary. So here's the thing about the Greens. The Greens need to go on offense and start defending against those allegations and come out with statements and address those issues. Don't ignore them, because if you allow them to kind of float out there unchecked, guess what's going to happen? The narrative will prevail. It's the whole perception is reality thing. So as much, again, I don't think Howie Hawkins is dangerous to the country or anything like that. But I also wonder, and this is the conversation I had with my friend Charles and my other friend Bruno last weekend, is that I don't know if they're serious as a party. I don't know if they're serious enough. I mean, you got infighting and you got allegations of rigging, which aren't being addressed. You got Jesse Ventura out there wanting a path to the nomination over there. You get all these things going on. And Jesse is a wild card too. Jesse is the most Tulsi-like candidate running. And Jesse doesn't give a crap about doing any sort of political end run move. You know, he's older, so he's going to take the path of least resistance. That's why he wanted to just grab that nomination and not have to do too much to get it. I don't know if I agree with that, because it's showing the same kind of sort of animus for the process that the Democrats do. So the Greens will say, hey, we don't want to be the Democrats, so guess what? You're going to have to earn the nomination. And then you have people say, well, Howie Hawkins, he rigged the primary. And I don't see evidence of that, although every candidate in there is saying it. And then there are a lot of commentators that are buying it because, again, it's views and clicks and opinions, and opinions meaning it more just you're not being objective. You're just throwing your own opinion into the mix, thinking that, hey, there's nobody to vote for. And so the political refugee thing is real for me, because you got people that want to tear down others who seem like they're saying and doing the things that you wanted them to say and do, which is just bizarre. So I just step back and go, okay, my conscience. You always say vote your conscience. Yeah, I voted for Tulsi Gabbard in the Florida Democratic primary. I actually voted for her. My wife was like, maybe you should vote for Bernie. He's got a better chance. No, I'm just going to vote for Tulsi. I voted for Tulsi, and now I'm kind of, again, more adrift than ever before. So to Joe Jorgensen, all right, you're welcome to come on this show and explain to me what your deal is when it comes to helping people who are in need. The church ain't going to do it. Okay, private charity isn't capable of doing it. See, look, the free market, the way you advocated, has created mega churches, because the mega churches have become another corrupt arm of capitalism. And by the way, I'm not here disparaging all capitalism either, but this is another instance where the church just modeled their ministry after the rest of society. In other words, we're going to be like them. We're going to market. We're going to tell people how great we are. We're going to preach these feel-good messages, and we're going to have great worship music and a cushy pew and some great coffee when you show up. We're going to make it like an interactive event. Like, instead of just church, it's going to be like taking your family, to the water park for the day. It's going to be something fun, and it won't resemble what the church used to be. And so the church used to be a true arm of compassion in the community. Now its doors are shuttered at least 5 or 6 days a week, which is just preposterous. They're open on Sunday. They might be open on Wednesday night or something for Bible study or whatever, but that's it. They should be open for political refugees like myself and actual refugees, but they're not. So that solution, libertarians, it doesn't impress me. Doesn't impress me unless you're prepared to kind of incentivize the church to be compassionate, but that's not really compassion at that point. I mean, the church has lost its way, and now you're relying on an institution that used to do good but doesn't do good like it used to. It does, some of them do some of it, but it's not enough to solve homelessness or drug abuse. It's not designed for that. And until you can make great arguments as to why that's the way to go, and you'll force it back into that realm, and then the system will be overwhelmed. These preachers that have the Lexus SUV out front, they're not going to know what to do. They're not going to be ready for that. They don't want those people at their church. The parishioners will run, because this is just a rich man's hobby, is what it mostly is. Christianity. It's sad, but that's what it's devolved into. So, yeah, long-winded video, lots of tangents. Tulsi Gabbard, by the way, is not a socialist, all right? And one of the things why I would say that is because, number one, she constantly got crap from the left that she wasn't left enough. She had her own solutions to problems. Because she didn't go along with Bernie solutions to problems, that made her a problem. Oh, she's not authentic. Oh, she's a hawk. She's a closet hawk. Okay, because she wants to go after terrorists rather than, just say I won't go after any. She doesn't want to do regime change war. She might be down with terrorism, fighting that, if, you can have some kind of objective to it. I think that's the best way you can explain it. But her position on that is very, very nuanced. She took a lot of abuse for her positions on Syria, to some extent on Bolivia, and obviously she took a lot of abuse for her vote on impeachment, which we know that Tulsi Gabbard is not a Russiagator. We know that for a fact. We know it as clear as day. Howie Hawkins, you want to think in the back of his mind that he thinks Trump did this. I don't think Trump was smart enough to collude with Russia. Well, he's just not smart enough to do that. He just got into office. He has no skin in the game at that point. Yeah, there might be a contact person. You could frame just about any president. As many phone calls and relationships that they have with world leaders and stuff, you could frame anyone. This wasn't the huge problem. If you want to look at China, and you continue to look at China right now, I think that's far more legitimate. In any event, I don't know if this means that Tulsi people are just not going to be interested in Joe Jorgensen. There's a chance. Maybe the write-in campaign is the best way to go. My channel is not going to inspire a national write-in campaign for Tulsi Gabbard. And again, you only have 10 states that you can just do it. And then everybody else, 8 states, you have to get her on the ballot. And I think 32 states, you have to petition them to allow you to write somebody in. And you'd have to basically register Tulsi Gabbard as a write-in candidate. I have no idea how difficult that is. I imagine it is very difficult. It'd be cool if the Libertarian candidate wasn't bashing Tulsi Gabbard. She probably lost a lot of Tulsi supporters by doing that. And then some Tulsi supporters are just going to hold their nose and maybe vote for Joe or vote for Howie. There are going to be some that vote for Joe Biden. Let's be honest, there will be. And I'll vote for Biden so long as he picks Tulsi Gabbard as his vice presidential running mate. At that point, I vote for Joe Biden. So that's my video, and I thank you for watching it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Keep watching this stuff, because eventually some subscribers will come back and tell your friends about the channel. I'm just one guy, and there needs to be more like me. There needs to be more truly independent people, not people who are, I'm progressive no matter what, and clicks and views, and I don't do it. I don't do it. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. And my perspective, it's going to be different. It's not going to be like the other guys. So again, thanks for watching, and stay safe.